Hey, how you doing? Today's shave, Austere August, is still in play. So we have a 68 gap timeless open comb, stainless steel razor. They have different things, like there's a scalloped head here that has the stripes that coincide with the gaps on the open comb. They have a base plate that's solid. They have a scalloped as well that are both closed comb. So there are different options, as well as having a different gap with all those other different combinations as well. And this is the knurled handle. I like it a lot, especially when shaving. It feels a little too aggressive, a little too bitey when it's dry, but different when you got a lather going on, nice and secure in your hand, doesn't feel abrasive at all. B2 from Zenith, and I got it used, and the writing was already kind of wearing off by the time I got it, so the tips are very split, and I haven't really seen too much of a change in this brush over the 23 uses or so that I've put on it this month, and so it must be pretty well broken in. It didn't look so at the time, but I guess it was. All right, and I've had it soaking for several minutes. Put it back in there. Hard water, tepid water as usual. The blade is my Nacet. I've been really putting this guy through its runnings. It's what words am I saying? Who knows? 193 uses last time. Paces, that's what it was. Putting it through its paces. So this time is 195. And Chiseled Face Midnight Stag is the soap and aftershave of today, because Dogwood Handcrafts is offering a challenge to those people, and I believe about a dozen of us in the wet shaving subreddit have been doing that. I'm interested to jump online and see if anybody has dropped off. I'm not sure. All right. Stephen at Dogwood Handcrafts is a terrific brush maker. He makes handles and then can put other people's knots in them for you. And he does really high quality work. I have one of his brushes, really glad that I do. Let's see, here's the post shave as well. Midnight Stag. Lately have been getting some pretty harsh family reactions by using the aftershave and stuff. So I'm trying to time my use of it where I don't impact my family as much. All right. I measured this, and 125 grams is what it weighed just now. I have been measuring it right before use so that it's had a day of a little bit of venting to have the water evaporate and dry out a little bit. And it's losing weight very slowly, remarkably slowly. I am trying to be conservative and not use as much, not use an excess of soap, but it's so far very drastically different from some of the other guys that we're plotting that are also weighing their products. So that'll be interesting to see. So I'll make sure I put a comment in so that he can add my weight to his chart, 125 grams. All right. So to start off with, as usual, you just douse my face with water. I am fortunate. Some people have to have a pre-shave routine that involves oils and moisturizers and things like that. But just simple water splash just to kind of start the hairs to be wet is enough for me, it seems. All right. The loading of the soap. What I'm going to do today, I did 7-second load yesterday, and it was almost 2 extra passes of lather in the bowl. Compare that to the previous day where I did a 7-second load face lather. I ended up with barely enough to get the job done, but it was enough just on the face lather. And so to me that says that if you want to be economical with your soap and have a more even spread and enjoyment of the lather, bowl lathering is the way to go, because you can use less soap that way. All right, so let's try a 5-second load with face bowl lather today. Just like yesterday, we're going to shorten the load down 5 seconds. Can you believe that? And I'm going to kind of switch back to my method, which I'm going to shake a lot of the water out of the brush. And so it's still definitely holding some water, but all right, so 5 seconds. Can you believe that? All right, let's see, and 0. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And there we go. I just can't, you know, that's just nuts that might just be enough soap. All right, let's start cranking in the bowl with it. Roger Quintero designed a shave bowl. He 3D printed it for me, and I'm very grateful. And I helped him design it a little bit, but almost all of it is his inspiration. One of my notes was make it a little bit bigger, and so I have the bigger version. He liked a smaller version for him, but I like the big one. His great concept was this cool brush rest right there. He already had my favorite feature was this inturned lip right here. To me, that's more valuable than the ridges that are in the middle of it, you know, and all that. Of course, 5 seconds may be way too little time if you have let this soap sit for a while unused and it's dried out more. Because I'm using it every day, there's a little bit of moisture that's remaining in the soap that's going to help it to lather up quicker. And so it's definitely reasonable to think you might have to load for a little bit longer if the soap is drier. I'll whip out my handy syringe to be able to keep track of the water I'm adding. But you know, mainly the reason I have it is because I can add, just like you saw me there, 2 teaspoons really easily, and just as easily as 5 drops. And so I like the flexibility there. If I usually kept water in my brush and didn't shake most of it out, I probably wouldn't need the dropper. I could probably do like a lot of the guys, YouTube shavers and stuff do, where they just run their hand under some water and then just dribble some on the brush or in the bowl, you know, that sort of thing. But I kind of start with a little drier brush, and so therefore sometimes I'm adding 4 teaspoons of water to the mix, and you know how many droplets that is? That would be a chore to have to add it that way. I believe 3 teaspoons is how much water I used with the 7-second load. So we'll see what the 5-second does. Looks like, again, I'm going to have plenty of lather to do the job. So it started out a little bit soupy because the soap in the brush hadn't yet combined with all that water that I added to the bowl. This handle does get a little slippery when soapy, so I'm going to rinse some of that off. That's better. Nice big thick handle, so I do like that. And so it's going to start to get more firm as we continue to mix that excess water in with the soap. If you added too much water, then it'll mix and then continue to get too thin, and it won't thicken up quite as much. I think it's pretty well mixed. Let's just see what we get here. Plenty of lather with just the 5 seconds, which is nuts. Let's see. Pretty, seeing how the viscosity here behaves and stuff. Let's add just a little bit more water. So maybe here we'll just have 2.5 teaspoons instead of 3. Not that strong of a smell, maybe because I'm only loading for 5 seconds and so I'm getting less soap, but to be honest, you just don't need a lot of soap. So if you have a higher concentration of soap to water, then maybe that smell is going to be more intense, but it's actually kind of calm. What do I smell? Maybe that wood. The gasoline-y smell isn't really here anymore. Don't really smell the leather too much either. It may be the essence of it and it's just hard to pick up. Very different. And the thing is that if you beef up your soap concentration so that you can smell it, then you also have to, you either have to deal with dry lather or relatively dry lather, or you have to keep bumping up your water so that you end up with mounds of lather that you don't really need. All right, I think we're looking good. Let's see how this is behaving here. Yeah, see a little bit of stretch before as it dropped. I think we're in good shape. Pull it down from the sides, make sure that gets mixed in. All right, yeah, and we've got plenty to do the job. Wow, I keep being amazed at that. All right, water on face. This brush had a nice long soak. Now, boar brushes do need to be soaked before use, but I think anything beyond 4 minutes, at least in my experience, is usually doesn't get you much more. It doesn't get you more benefit. It can only get so soft, it can only absorb so much water. I may have added too much water. We'll just have to see. It may be perfect though. I am having to dip back in and get some more lather, but I think it might be good because I still have plenty in the bowl. I'm going to work it in my face. That first pass, it's important to do that. This soap does a very good job. It may be a little airy in certain spots. Yeah, like you can see tiny bubbles that are there, so it's not like a full cream. It does aerate and have bubbles, and but its main job is to lay down a nice lubricative layer on your skin, and whether it looks kind of airy or not, it does that job, and that's what you want it to do. And you can see I don't have a really thick layer right here, but underneath whatever's here, since I spent enough time, I believe it has done its job. All right, Nacet. I am confident that he is going to do a fine job this time because he just doesn't seem to die. Let's take a look. Yep. There we go. And here's that X that I've put on it from the very beginning. I don't usually say this, but I'm not rotating this blade. I'm always keeping that X on the downside, on the handle side of the razor, and it's an experiment. Normally you should I put it in randomly however it goes in, because it really doesn't matter whether it, don't be trying to rotate your blade to keep even where it's one edge. You'll be fine. But just for grinsies and science, I am always keeping this on one side because I'm curious. When I finally think this is done, what if I flip it over? Will I get a different experience? Will it be exactly the same? I also might see if I can find somebody with a high power microscope to look at the edge. And so we'll see if it has 200, 300 uses on it at the time, what does the edge look like? So that's what we'll find out. That'll be neat. I have no idea when this thing's going to quit though. I don't think, and I've said this before, but I guess it's been a while, so I'll repeat it. It's not going to quit because it's getting irritating. I don't think it's going to quit because it's tugging. it's so smooth that I think when it quits, I think it'll be because I just am having to work too hard to get a good shave. As you can see right now, I am having to buff quite a bit, but I'm fine with that. Kind of get used to it. And when I go back to a younger blade, I often find myself buffing when I don't need to. And there we go. Not really tuggy, so the lather was doing its job. All right, we are rinsed, and I actually dabbed my face a little with a towel because I think this one is a good lather, but maybe just a little on the wet side, and so I'm going to let my skin absorb some of this moisture and get the lather a little thicker. Brush is great as usual. Sprays plenty. Very comfortable and soft. Lays down a nice thin layer. I don't think it hogs lather. I hear that mentioned so many times, but and at the end of if a brush hogs lather, it's not a big deal, because at the end of the shave, you can just squeeze out whatever is in there. So I don't really know what the lather hog complaint is all about. Besides, soap is cheap. If it's going to hog lather, couldn't you just load for a few seconds longer? As you can see, holding my razor in a very flexible way so that the head can move. Keeps it very light on the skin. That may be one of my secrets to getting a nice long use, blade life. Number one, I believe it's because my lathers are just really wet and slick, so provide a really nice lubricating action. Prevent the wear on my skin. I'm sorry, on the blade. But then also maybe the light touch. I could just keep a really light touch. And maybe that helps with wear as well. Don't know. That's the kind of thing you can't. It would take a whole lot of experimentation to be able to isolate those variables, and I'm not that sciencey. That's 2 passes. Skin looks great. That worked pretty well, dabbing my skin with a towel, and sure enough, 5 seconds, and I've got plenty of lather to do the job. And I've still got, some in the bowl, and this is going to be plenty right here. How about that? A 5-second load. So with face lathering, a 7-second load left me with less lather than this on the third pass. But with bowl lathering, less load time, and I've still got plenty left over. Another plus for us bowl latherers, but like I said, soap is cheap, so if you like the convenience of face lathering, then using up a little bit more soap is not a big deal. I knew that was going to drop on my shirt, so I said, let's just put it down in the sink instead. So this old blade is still giving me terrific closeness. Even giving me good stuff. Nice close cuts in my trouble spot zone right here. And there we go. I'm not getting creamy rinses with this, but I guess you're not going to get that when you're kind of pushing the edge of how low of a load time can I go. So if I bumped it back up to 10, I'd probably have nice creamier rinses. All right, I'm a happy camper. 2.5 teaspoons of water was what I added to the lather, in addition to what was in my lightly wet brush. And I will put away my razor as usual, open it up a little bit for venting. Shoot some water through it, shake it out carefully, and I make sure, another one of my things, I make sure never to touch the blade edge even in any way. All right. And I already showed you how much lather I had left over, plenty. So this lather was a little bit on the thinner side of the range where I like it, but that's almost always a high performance side, and it may deliver less of a creamy feel sometimes, but it almost always delivers a really nice shave and nice protection for your skin. Toweled that guy off here so he's ready to sit until the next shave. Let's throw a little bit of Go Juice on. Now I may not be able to smell too much of the soap, but the aftershave definitely has that scent, and I really enjoy it. My wife doesn't, but I really enjoy it. All right, I showed you everything, so I think we're good. There we go. I'll just clean up and throw everything where it goes. This is Sugar Daddy Shaves. So what we kind of learned today and experimented with was, would a 5-second load work? And sure enough, with this brush and this soap, it sure did. It was adequate, and I had plenty of soap left over. It was a little thin, so maybe I'd back off on the water a little bit next time, thicken up the lather just a bit, but it'll still be plenty enough to do the job. So a 5-second lather is a very acceptable load time, at least with the pressure that I use, the brush that I have. You know, those are all a bunch of variables, and so it may differ than what you have. But there we go. That was a neat experiment, and I'm just really surprised with how little loading some soaps take. So I hope there was something here for you. You take care. Have a good day.